I am pleased to be here representing the UNC School of Medicine Offices of Medical Student Education. My name is Tony Passannante. I'm serving as the Senior Associate Dean for Medical Student Education. I am so glad that you have demonstrated your commitment by your attendance and your generosity. That is fantastically important to the School of Medicine. It's fantastically important to the students who we have enrolled in our school. And we are very pleased to extend our most amazing amount of gratitude to you for your contributions to UNC. The last time I was in this room was March 20th. That was match day, and we had a fantastically successful match day. We had 209 students match, and 88 of them are staying here in North Carolina for their medical training. That's a higher fraction than we usually have had. More importantly, or not, maybe not more importantly, but 44 are staying here at UNC Chapel Hill, and we're so happy to have some of our own students choose to stay with us for continued training. My role in the School of Medicine is to run the medical education program. I don't really want to spend too much time on that, and it would be dishonest for me to say that I did it all, because that's not true. We have very talented and committed educators who thrive on designing effective curricula, who thrive on teaching. And without their wonderful assistance, our student affairs group, our curricular affairs group, and all of the teachers that we have teaching our students, we wouldn't have a good system. So I'm happy to say that we have a very good system. Your support helps us elevate the effectiveness of what we're doing here. We've just redesigned our curriculum entirely, and I'm happy to say that our transition is complete, and we have a very modern, very innovative curriculum. I'm going to segue a little bit and ask you to look in the center of your tables. And you know, there's a hump in the center of each table. You might wonder, what is that hump? This is not the movie Young Frankenstein. But that is a collection of microphones and speakers that can be utilized during class meetings and educational sessions here. So topics can be discussed among tables when our students are in this room without everybody overhearing, and then you hit the middle of the hump and it turns from red to green and you can speak, and everybody in this beautifully designed new educational space can hear it. Many of you, when you came through our School of Medicine, if you did, 19-inch televisions were the norm. Now, look at all the screens that we have. So this is really a fantastic addition, Roper Hall, to our educational program. You can see that the tables are not very large, and the redesigned medical curriculum that we have is designed around small group instruction. It doesn't all happen in this room, but for much of the first 18 months of medical education, students meet in groups of 8, 9 students and are taught clinical reasoning from the very beginning of their educational journey. There's a fundamental shift from classes of 190 to small groups of 8. It has had very positive effects that we can observe as students transition to clinical rotations, much better steeped in clinical reasoning by the time they arrive. And also, I'm going to say, much more concerned about their fellow classmates, which has really been wonderful for us to see. The continual interactions of the small groups has led to really positive changes in how the classes are doing. I don't know if anybody got to see the point of care ultrasound station that we had off to my left. Your philanthropy has allowed us to build in the provision of ultrasound probes to all of our arriving medical students. Ultrasound application is something that has become ubiquitous in medical care. Our students are going to be trained in the interpretation, application, and science of ultrasound from their enrollment time, and they are going to be well-versed in utilizing point-of-care ultrasound by the time they get out of medical school. It's something that I gained later in my career. It's just pushing things farther down the medical education ladder, and the individuals who are going to benefit are patients from better diagnosis and increased safety of interactions with the medical system. So the power of philanthropy, the power that you allow us to utilize, is demonstrated in this room here today. We're here to celebrate what scholarships can do. It's so nice to see individuals meeting with the students who are benefiting from their largesse and philanthropy. It's wonderful to see. Our students tell us time and time again that scholarships really make their path through medical education significantly easier. What you may not realize is that there is a competition for the very best medical student applicants, and your donations allow us to be competitive in that market, as well as allow us to support students who have significant financial constraints with regard to their ability to pay for medical education. You're probably aware that federal laws have changed in a way that limit the aggregate amount of borrowing that students can do. And one of the most important missions for the School of Medicine is to try to minimize the amount of debt that our students graduate with. And your donations allow us to be very competitive in that regard. UNC is in a privileged position. We have strength in primary care, we have strength in research, and we have strength in our faculty, and we have a growing population in our state. All of those things allow us to put together a nationally competitive medical education program. Our goal is simple. We would like to be the best public school of medicine in the United States, and we continue to move towards that. I think most of you realize that our class size has increased. We're up to 230 students in a year, a significant increase over the last 5 years. This happens to be more than all the other schools of medicine in North Carolina combined. We know that many of the students we graduate will practice in North Carolina. Currently, there's a UNC School of Medicine graduate practicing in 95 out of the 100 counties in our state. So your support allows us to build the highest quality pipeline for care across the state and beyond. It ensures that the citizens of North Carolina will continue to receive excellent medical care. And I want to allow you to hear from a student whose experiences exemplify all of that. She's a great example of what scholarship support means to individual students and to our School of Medicine and to our state. I'd like to introduce Theresa and Saunders.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Come on, it's like church. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. There we go. There we go. Oh, man. He started saying that last part, and my start started pitter-pattering because, as many of you know, I'm a very proud fourth-year medical student here at the University of North Carolina. But my name is Theresa Ann Saunders. I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina, homegrown girl here. Thank you for that. And I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about my journey here to the University of North Carolina. I have to thank every single one of you for coming out here today on this Saturday. I hope that you are reinvigorated, this weekend, that you are inspired, and that hopefully you guys find some light in this weekend. So, To my class, the class of 2026, if you see me looking at you, it's because I'm nervous, and I feel very comfortable around y'all. So. All right, let's get to it. I remember exactly where I was almost 4 years ago when I knew I wanted to become a Tar Heel trained doctor. I was in Cleveland finishing my master's at Case Western Reserve University, and I was fueled with so much fire to do as what my dad says is cure all the children in the world. The after effects still loomed around, and loneliness and anxiety really fueled a lot of the media. Social interactions were just beginning to normalize, but fear, social injustice, and health inequities were really brought to light during this time, what felt like a never-ending darkness. Maybe some of you feel that today. But I followed the light I felt calling me. If you ask me specifically what it was about the University of North Carolina School of Medicine, I remember working with attendings who went there and thought, wow, like they really see people as people and not people as patients. And let me tell y'all, so my mom went here, and I was scared to tell her that UNC was my number one because I was like, there's no way I would be looked at as a student who could be part of this legacy. The attendings felt cool. Y'all are kind of cool, to be honest. I was like, I want to be a cool doc too. I want to be a community doc too. I want people at church coming up to me and saying, hey, doc, how's it going? Y'all were accessible. You viewed people as valued, not just because they were coming into your clinic or your OR, but because you were there to help them, and I wanted to do that too. I was nervous, but I knew this was the right path for me. It was a top 25 school, number one in primary care. North Carolina was my home, the people that I wanted to serve. It didn't matter if they looked like me, if they prayed like me, if they danced like me, or had any similar lived experience to me. I knew I wanted to take care of these people. This is one of the most diverse states in the country, from mountain to sea, and I was excited to learn how to take care of them all. My preclinical years were packed with so much growing. I learned to be a leader as the Student National Medical Association president. I learned to be a learner in small group. I was humbled in many, many ways. And you know what, guys? I failed. And I learned how to get back up and be better. I learned how to adjust and to take criticisms. I found my strengths and learned to acknowledge my weaknesses here. But you know what I learned most in my preclinical years? How to be a good teammate. In my study groups, I learned. In my student-led organizations, I learned. I was learning even then that there was no way I was gonna make it through this thing alone. I'm finishing up my 4th year of medical school here with a heart really full of gratitude. I'm actually done, but legally, I'm here so I don't get fined. Just kidding, y'all know I love y'all. But I spent a lot of time reflecting during this time, and maybe you too can take a second to reflect with me. This is where it might get a little teary, so all the surgeons, it's okay to cry today. Just not in the OR. Okay. Think about what it took for you to get to this point in your career. Maybe you're a first-year medical student coming today for your first scholarship brunch, which come back because the food, hello. Maybe you're a 4th year about to take that jump, moving all the way to Boston. Maybe you're about to be an OBGYN to advocate for a lot of people who really deserve it. And maybe you get to go home to your partner in Cleveland and start your new life with them. Maybe you're someone who's, just started entering back into the alumni sphere here at UNC, and you're starting your attending career. Or maybe you're starting the journey to retirement. Think about what it took for you to get here. Did someone help you? Think about that mentor. Maybe they're here today, or maybe they're not living anymore. Maybe it was your family, your classmates, someone that passed. Maybe today you can reflect on the sacrifice that you endured to get to this point in your career. Think of your co-residents, your chiefs, your advisors, your sponsors. You see, as many of you know, when you sign your papers to be part of this UNC family, you are receiving something beyond a medical education. It's good, I'm not gonna lie, I did away rotations. We look real good out there, y'all. But you get something more, and I don't think I could appreciate it until my 4th year. The MD is just a small percentage of what you gain here at the University of North Carolina School of Medicine. This institution pushed me in ways that I never imagined I would have the capacity to become. I had mentors like Dr. Adisola Akinquotu in the Department of Pediatric Surgery challenge me in the operating room and outside of it to learn how to be an advocate for children, because being a surgeon and advocating for equitable health for people of this state is not mutually exclusive. I had an entire department sacrifice their time and energy and growth of me as a researcher, as a student, and yes, as a person, and now as their future resident. On the wards in internal medicine, Dr. Tarantino, she's over there, wave, hi. When I lost my first patient, I was on her service when I learned the tenderness of humanity and how exceptionally worth it is able to be there for strangers in their most precious moments. I held new life here. I felt death underneath my hands after the rhythmic chest compressions that I did with Matt. I held the hands of new head and neck cancer diagnoses. I wiped the tears of people that successfully were in remission. I saw domestic violence victims get their smile back, listen to this, y'all, after Dr. Miller did a re-innervation of the facial nerve in surgery after their facial nerve was damaged. Do not believe the hype. This is still magic. What we do is still magic. And yeah, you know what? It took a lot of sacrifice, and there was a lot of sleepless nights, and there were tears, and there was frustration. There were tears, right, Mom? There was a lot of tears. Sorry. I cried a lot, y'all, sorry. But not in the OR. And yet, guys, there's still light to be found here. The Loyalty Fund is an incredibly important part of my journey. As a 4-year recipient, it helped me find my light, and it gave me the means and opportunity to help provide light to those in need. I hosted workshops, leadership opportunities for students who aren't even connected to UNC, who got to see what UNC School of Medicine was about. Your donations and support go to real medical students passionate about making this world a better place for those around them. Thank you for remembering the light with me today. And if you haven't felt that light of hope and inspiration in a minute, look around. Look around. First, y'all look good. Yes, y'all look good, but look around at the magic around you. Meet somebody new today. Hug somebody old. And remember, nobody makes it through this thing alone. Thank you for being part of my journey. Thank you, as Dr. Fowler taught me, the Tar Heel way. And may we continue to nurture the light within ourselves and these student doctors in training. And one more thing, I am here because of the sacrifice and the role model of my mom. She is the class of 1995. Sorry. She's over there. You can wave. UNC will always have a very special part in our home. And I just want to, as I enter into my specialty, I'm going into otolaryngology head and neck surgery here at the University of North Carolina. And I just want to say a big thank you to you, Mom, for your example of serving this community, for continuing to fight for all people of this state to have the health care that they deserve. And I know that was ingrained to you because you went to the University of North Carolina. And I would really appreciate if everybody could give her a round of applause as she enters retirement. Anyway, enough being serious. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Theresa, for sharing your story, and I think it's probably worth another round of applause for her. Phenomenal. I think if you were wondering what kind of students we had, you kind of got your question answered there, and you'll get more coming up. So my name is Chris Ingersoll. I currently serve as Senior Associate Dean and Chair of the Department of Health Sciences. I'm a new Tar Heel. I came here about 2 years ago. And a lot of people that I've met have said, well, what made you decide to come to UNC? And honestly, the primary answer is the people. And I mean that collectively. Like, we have phenomenal students here. We have world-class faculty, and we have people who care about us, you, the donors, and others in the community who work with us so that we can fulfill our mission. So, what could be a more perfect place to come to do that sort of thing? The support that we get from all of you as donors, especially with the scholarships, is really, really important and directly affects the impact that we can make, not only in the education of our students, but our students are ambassadors out into the community. They engage a lot of different folks. And so your help allows us to do that at the highest level. And those are the kind of people that are those are the practitioners that are going to come back in and take care of us in the community. So our department, the Department of Health Sciences, is actually divided into 8 different divisions. And I just want to share those with you so that you're aware. So we have a program in clinical laboratory science, in clinical rehabilitation and mental health counseling, neurodiagnostics and sleep science, occupational science and occupational therapy, physician assistant studies, radiological science, speech and hearing science, and physical therapy. All those programs are together with each other within our department. Speaking of physical therapy, as you came in here in the back, you saw the stand with the robotics on it. Ben Killen, who shared his research on gait and mobility among individuals with Parkinson's disease, is a DPT, or Doctor of Physical Therapy student, and is currently pursuing a PhD in the human movement science through the Division of Physical Therapy. Another example of a phenomenal student. And the division director for physical therapy, Tim Eckert, has recently been named as the faculty liaison to the School of Medicine. Tim, are you here? Raise your hand in the back there. So some of you may be seeing a lot more of Tim as he goes into that role. In this role, he'll strengthen partnerships throughout the school and among our alumni and donors. So we're looking forward to Tim doing that. I want to talk a little bit about the scholarships and the impact that they have in the Department of Health Sciences. Those partnerships, especially with our donors, are essential to advancing one of the most powerful tools for impact, and that is the scholarships. Like many students that are involved in education and healthcare in one way or the other, debt becomes a challenge for all of those students, and our ability to provide them with support that comes from you helps them complete those programs and go out into the communities and help us. It helps us recruit the best and brightest students that you can get. It also helps reduce their debt and make their programs more accessible to all potential students. It provides them opportunity to do more while they're here, being engaged in research or community service, going to conferences, traveling to conferences, and learning to become professionals in their area. So we are deeply grateful for this partnership with our scholarship donors, who make so much possible across all the divisions within our department. A high percentage of our health science students come from North Carolina, and a high percentage of our graduates stay in North Carolina. And we're very proud of that we're providing such a valuable workforce here within the state. And for a person who's probably closer to retirement than graduation. I'm sure glad to have the level of talent in those individuals who are going to take care of me when I need that care. So, of course, philanthropy plays a big role in our ability to do some of those type of things. It helps, it sustains and expands our program, and it also helps bring the highest caliber students into them, like the student you're going to hear from next. So ask Ahmed Elinbabi from the Physician Assistant Program to come to the podium. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Great. First off, let me say thank you. Where's Alice? Allison, my God, what a beautiful event. You did such a lovely job. I think Allison really... And thank you to the scholarship donors. Without your generosity, without your kindness, without thinking of us, a lot of us would struggle to be here today. Awardees, thank you for being here. I mean, this is the reason, right? And of course, thank you to the Smith family, because they're the reason that I'm here today. My name is Ahmed Elinbabi, and I'm a physician assistant student at UNC School of Medicine, class of 26. And I'm honored to hold the Smith Family Foundation PA Scholarship for Veterans. And I'm very grateful to be here to share what that support has meant to my journey. Let me start off by telling you where I came from, because I think that matters a bit. I spent 12 years in the Army as a combat medic. I deployed all over the world. Iraq, Guam, Europe, Alaska. I ran aid stations. I've managed mass casualty events. I've provided care in environments where resources are scarce and the stakes were absolute, and hesitation was not an option. I've treated both civilians and soldiers who were scared, in pain, and far from home. And I learned early on that medicine is not just a technical skill, it's a covenant. You show up, you do the job, and you do it for the person in front of you, not for the recognition. When I left the military, I knew exactly the kind of provider that I wanted to become. And I just needed the right place to become one. And that place was UNC. The decision to apply to the UNC PA program is not made casually. And I've had to remind some of my classmates, Haley, that you don't get into UNC on accident. Everyone that gets in tells me that UNC was their dream school. It was my dream school. And UNC's mission to train primary care PAs who serve North Carolina's diverse and underserved communities was not just a program feature in the brochure. It's a description of the work that I already have been doing for over a decade, just in a different uniform. When I read that mission, I didn't feel like I was choosing a school. I felt like I was being called back to something familiar. And there's something worth saying about what it means when UNC selects someone for these programs, and especially for a scholarship like this one. UNC is not simply offering an education, and the program is making a deliberate choice to entrust a person with the health and welfare of North Carolina's most vulnerable communities. The people of rural Eastern North Carolina, the uninsured, the underserved, and those that don't always have advocates in the exam room with them. When UNC places a student in those communities, they're saying, we believe that this person will show up. And for the people that the system has too often left behind and unheard. And that trust is not lost on me. I carry it every time I walk into an exam room. And receiving the Smith Family Foundation Scholarship changed the calculus of my path in a real and very practical way. Y'all, PA school is expensive. And that financial burden of graduate education It really falls heavily on us as students. And many veterans, myself included, are navigating school, navigating family, transition out of a career that had been defining them for years. And these scholarships, they don't just help pay for tuition, but they communicate something. They said that somebody that has never met you looked at your story and decided that you were worth investing in. And that means something. And it creates an obligation that I take seriously. In my clinical rotations, I've had moments that remind me exactly of why I made this choice. On my family medicine rotation, I met a patient who had gone years without primary care providers. Patients managing chronic diseases, outdated prescriptions, no follow-up care, and no real understanding of their diagnoses. And because I was a student, I was given a little bit more time, I sat with those patients a little bit longer than the schedule allowed, because the schedule is not the point. One lovely woman, after we talked through her diabetes management in plain language, with time, without rushing, told me that no one had ever explained it to her like that before. And she'd been diabetic for 11 years. And I even told her that the medication keeping her blood sugar in check traces back to the venom of a Gila monster. She laughed, called me a nerd, told me she loved me, and I said, "Thanks, Mom." And while that moment felt like a win, it also felt like a reminder of the gap that we are trying to close as providers. And through the outreach programs, through pharmacy assistance programs, through sliding scale affordability that UNC clinical sites offer, I've seen what it looks like when a system actually tries to meet people where they are. Healthcare is a right. It is not a privilege. And these programs exist because somebody decided to act on it. And I'm grateful, genuinely grateful, for the opportunity to be a part of that, even in a small way as a student. These are not abstract policy commitments. They are the reason that a woman in a rural county gets her medications filled. They're the reason that someone who has avoided the doctor for a decade walks through the door. And after graduation, my plan is to practice primary care in those underserved communities in North Carolina, with the focus on pediatrics and women's health, but not just as a stopover, but as my destination. And these two populations that carry such a disproportionate share of the burden when it comes to healthcare access, especially in current times, with so much uncertainty in the air, where children whose conditions go unmanaged become adults with preventable chronic diseases, women in rural communities who lack consistent prenatal and reproductive care face outcomes that have no place in a developed country. And the military has taught me one of the hardest assignments are usually the most important ones. And the people that need you the most are rarely the loudest voices. And North Carolina is where I was meant to be. My hope is that my impact will be measured not in accolades, but in continuity, in patients who come back because they trust me, in communities where the presence of a skilled, consistent provider changes health outcomes over time, and in students that are behind me, maybe veterans, maybe first generation like myself, where their parents' second language was English and you were in the exam room translating for them, and maybe from the underserved communities that I'll serve in, who see someone that looks like me and can see their path forward and has made it through. To the Smith family and to everyone who has made these scholarships possible, you didn't invest just in my education, but you've invested in every patient that I will see, every community that I will serve, and every practice that follows. And I do not take that lightly, and I will not waste it. Thank you.
Honestly, I'm tempted to end on that note. But I do want to say thank you, Ahmed. That was just beautiful. And thank you to Theresa and Ahmed for sharing your stories with us. It means so much for all of us to get to hear at least a couple of stories of how you got here, how much it's meant to you, and what it's going to mean for not only your future, but as Ahmed said, the future of patients throughout North Carolina and possibly beyond. So thank you all very much. I also want to say thank you to Tony Passannante and Chris Ingersoll for your leadership, for sharing with us some of the exciting work that you're doing, for being here today, and for ensuring that our students continue to have the cutting-edge curriculum and impact-driven programs that we highlighted, some of which we highlighted today. So following our brunch, which will be ending momentarily, we invite you to join us here in Roper Hall to have an open house. We will continue to have some of these positions open, and some of you may not have seen this building, and I do encourage you to take a look while you're here and see this beautiful education building. So to our donors and students, we hope you've enjoyed these conversations, and we hope they'll continue. So we encourage you to share contact information if you like, but to stay in touch. And I do want to say, for anyone who is interested in learning more about a scholarship, there are some people here today who would be happy to talk to you. Our School of Medicine philanthropy team. So I'm going to say their names and then ask you to stand up so people know who you are, and I would thank you for being here. Janine and Mary Liz, Claire and Liza, please stand up. And I'll join Ahmed in thanking Allison Baranowski. So any event like this, it's a team of people who make this event happen. But every event has a team lead, and this lead was Allison Baranowski, and she's our director of special events. And I hope that you have enjoyed all of the details that were carefully thought out for this event. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for your support, and enjoy the rest of the day.